September 20th, like most gaming YouTubers, I was making a video about the largest Xbox leak in history, revealing the next 8 years of the console's future, which happened to be pretty damn bleak if you were into physical media. Fast forward to this week and there are some major layoffs at Microsoft, all revolving around physical media, and it definitely points towards an all-digital future. Now, the younger crowd simply doesn't get why this is an issue. I hear a lot of things floating around the comment section like, who cares? I play most of my games digital anyway. But some slightly older gamers that have been around the woodworks for a couple of console generations understand the sting of the deep lemon juice cut that we're all going to be experiencing over the next decade or so. So even if you're somebody like me that admittedly does play the majority of their media digitally in 2024, the evil of it lies in the fact that sorry, I had to cut that sexy gentleman a little bit short during the intro, but he was about to spill all the secrets of the video. Now, before we jump into this video, I do strongly recommend checking this bad boy out from September because it does give you an outline of pretty much the next 8 years of the Xbox console. And in the video, I talk about this next generation air purifier from Dyson, which is actually the next Xbox console to hit the market. Brooklyn, baby, which is going to be stinky like Brooklyn as well because it's got no fucking disk slot on it. Sorry if you're from Brooklyn, I'm sure it doesn't stink there. Maybe like near the local dump or something. It's got to have a stinky zone of the town. That's what I was referring to. And this is going to be a stinky town that all Xbox fans are living in. Now, the primary meat and potatoes of what we're talking about here today revolves around this major layoff at the Xbox factory, specifically departments dedicated to physical game releases, i.e. discs, those silver frisbees, them Blu-ray discs that you used to collect and whatnot on a bookshelf, those relics from yesteryear, from a simpler time. And just to not clickbait or to give you the full picture, all the information, it doesn't mean that Xbox is leaving the physical game market. It kind of does in combination with the previous video from September. It was later noted that these roles could be outsourced, just like voice acting could be outsourced to AI. That doesn't mean that it's going to be beneficial. Generally, outsourcing to an outside company, especially with a video game company as large as Xbox, the Xbox division for Microsoft, it doesn't work. There are going to be communication issues, and it's different than outsourcing is different than acquiring a new company. For example, Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. All those studios are now under the umbrella of Xbox, so they have direct control. Phil Spencer, or now I should say Sarah Bond, the leader of Xbox division, as she does seem to be very hands-on, just like Phil was, have control over all the games coming out of those studios, as opposed to something being outsourced. There's a lot of miscommunication between that outside company because they still have their own leadership structure. You have your own corporate structure. A lot of times they don't meld well together. Sidetracked, back to the article. Now, a verified tweet over here from Jez, it says, multiple sources tell me that Microsoft is laying off the entire internal customer support team for ABK games. Microsoft will outsource the rest to external companies abroad, so overseas, even better, adding to that miscommunication, language barriers and whatnot, different time zones. But Jizzy Jez's sentiments land with, in combination with the digital-only Xbox console leaks, well, you get an idea of where Xbox is going here, in the shitter. Now, these layoffs could also be in combination with the fact that Xbox isn't selling well. Not this console generation, but even the previous, the Xbox One and PS4 console generation. The last pretty successful Xbox console generation was the 360, which is pretty shocking because that had some issues at launch, and then it also had the Red Ring of Death. It had fucking games though. We had Gears of War, good Halos, and Forza when Forza wasn't. Xbox had a little bit more flavor and a little bit more personality, character as a gaming company. As we're now, it just seems like a console that you really don't need to own if you have a gaming PC because you can get the Game Pass subscription service, which is the primary means of monetization for Microsoft. Not selling consoles like PlayStation, not selling accessories like the PlayStation Portal or PSVR 2 that pigeonhole your audience into wanting to buy a PS5 because the experiences that they're craving are only on that console. You don't get that with the current generation Xbox. Just to frame the current condition of the Microsoft Xbox department with these little statistics, the numbers don't lie. What do the numbers mean, Mason? They mean that the Xbox is at the bottom of the barrel console-wise. Sales numbers. Of course, there's going to be some customer satisfaction in there. Some diehard Xbox fans that wear lime green shirts to work and love coming home to that big black console. Nothing wrong with that. You know, you've been playing it for years. It's what your buddies play on. You prefer the shape of the controller. Nothing wrong with owning an Xbox, my friend. But less people are owning an Xbox. About a third of the gamers that picked up a flappy PS5 picked up a big brick Xbox in 2023. Switch, still selling pretty good. Impressive for the fact that it's been out for 6.5 years. But shit, if you need a console recommendation, a PC, a Steam Deck, and a PS5 just makes sense. Maybe a little Xbox Series S in the bedroom so you can carry on your progress from your PC Game Pass games. Also, you know I get sidetracked really easily. I'm not going to stay on this topic for too long, but I am going to make a separate video as to why some of the PC PC Game Pass games run a little bit different than PC Steam games. They're actually different core game files. You can't mod them, they're usually capped to 120 FPS, they actually strip graphical settings from them, and they run a little bit different. I guess you don't need to watch that future video because you just got the Cliff Note version. I want to pay my respects, a little bit of condolences here for the 1,900 staff members that lost their jobs, as there has been a shitload of layoffs over the last 2 years. Last year was one of the best years as gamers that we've had in gaming, as far as game releases, new hardware, controllers. But my golly, if you were in the business of producing games, developing them, coding them, working on them, it was not a good year for you. Probably, you might have lost your job. I always recommend getting a console that has a physical disc slot, an optical disc drive. The reason being, if you got a Blu-ray movie collection, you can still use all those bad boys for all those middle-aged dads that are collecting grays like your boy over here. But even if you don't have movies, how about your games from the previous console generations? On the Xbox, you can slide in discs all the way back to the Xbox original, and a lot of them are going to be enhanced with a higher frame rate, even small graphical buffs, and even added trophy support. Same thing on the PlayStation side of the house. You can slide in PS4 discs and play a lot of those games. Now, PS3 and prior, you will need a gloss PS3, the first one I owned, which sell for a pretty penny on eBay and FB Marketplace because people know that they're the backward compatible version. Keep in mind, you can also emulate PS3 games with RP3 pretty goddamn easily. But the main reason being here is for games that aren't new releases. Obviously, new releases are going to be the same price whether you go the digital version and buy on the PlayStation Network, or you buy on the Xbox Live store, or you take your happy ass to Best Buy or GameStop and pick up a disc. It's going to be the same price. However, after a couple of months, when that game starts decreasing in value, and you can go to GameStop, maybe it was a shitty game, it's already 17 bucks on sale. It could be a situation like Battlefield 2042, where that thing was literally given away. They were, I think of the Navy Exchange, they were like passing them out at the door. But yet, when I logged onto the PSN, it was still full retail. And there's a class action lawsuit that's been plugging forward for the last 2 years because there is a digital-only console sold by Sony, the PlayStation 5 all digital. And as of 2018, the only place to purchase digital games to play on your PlayStation console is from the PSN. So they really have the market cornered, and generally older games are about 60% more expensive than games that you could buy at GameStop or used on other marketplaces. Furthermore than that, with digital games, you truly don't own anything, and this is a big argument, and let me just try and explain this to the crowd that doesn't give a shit about the all digital future, the ones that say, I buy all my games like that anyway, Buster. I have been reading horror stories on Twitter of gamers purchasing games, and then because of a licensing agreement between Sony and the third-party developer of that game, they lost the rights to have it in the PlayStation Store, and even though you paid for the game, it's no longer in your library. A lot of times refunds aren't even issued, and even if they are, what if you have 100 hours on that save game file? I don't give a shit about a $20 refund. I want my save game file for a game that I bought and should own for the rest of my life because I purchased it. Buying digital media doesn't really work like that anymore. All these companies are moving towards a subscription style service like Game Pass, where it's like Netflix. You're just going to be either streaming games or installing them digitally. And that removes your choice. That removes your options as a gamer big time, to where you're paying full retail for games that you truly don't earn. That's the summary right there. Granted, new games come out and replace the old ones, and maybe you play and beat the current games, and then they get replaced with new ones and you play those, and that's how the subscription service is supposed to work for us on our end. But in reality, if you want to revisit some of your older titles, your library from yesteryear, it definitely works a lot better and cheaper having a physical disc slot, an optical disc drive that you can not get ripped off with. Not to mention, the biggest W for an all digital future is going to be video game companies and game developers. So Sony and Microsoft not having to pay to put a disc slot in their console, less weight to ship logistically, and also they don't have to be shipping game discs all the time. It's all delivered digitally, substantially cheaper to their servers. So from a cost to reward standpoint, it's an absolute W for Sony and Microsoft. Also, I mentioned the third-party game developers. They don't have to worry about the logistic process of getting their game dispensed. It's just automatically, here's the digital file, bip, it's going to be on Game Pass or PS Now. So that is my opinion on the all digital future. If you are someone that gives a shit about your older game library and not getting ripped off trying to play your older games, not to mention you do subscribe to the sentiment that you truly don't own anything with an all digital future, you're paying pretty much the same amount of money overall for these subscription services and the consoles, but you're really not owning anything. So even though I am somebody that plays most of his games digitally in 2024, it's just more convenient. My older games, I will still take my happy ass to GameStop and get myself a disc, because instead of 60 bucks on the PSN, it's $17. Not to mention, I do still have some Blu-ray movies sitting around. I believe I have the John Wick trilogy. Well, there's 4 of them now, but when I bought it, it was a 3-pack. Came in a cool collectible bundle. But the ones that are getting put down for stealing a car and killing a dog are us, and we didn't even do those 2 things. That's a John Wick reference, in case you just thought I'm sputtering out random words at the end of my video. Drop in the comment section below your opinion of the all digital digital future and Xbox's move laying off 1,900 staff members directly associated with their disc department. In combination with the air purifier leak, it's clear that Xbox is, last little sentiment here, if they're suffering that bad sales number wise, 7 versus 21 on the PS5, I do believe all the moves that they're making here, they're perceived very badly by the gaming community. Everyone that's reading these articles from gaming journalistic platforms, all the YouTubers and live streamers regurgitating the information to their audience aren't really happy about it. Even people like me that I guess you could say fall into the neutral ground, that don't really care but still kind of do, are leaning towards, hey, we should still have a fucking disc slot because it makes sense. And this isn't just Microsoft. Sony's most likely going to try some harebrained cockamamie like this, if not with the next console generation, then the 11th generation console. So not the next one, but the next one. And it's up to us, the gaming community, to really just roughhouse them with our shoulders, elbows, knees, and fingernails to make sure that they don't do stupid shit. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers, so this information will reach and assist them as well. Much like the back of the TV, I've got plugs for all of my socials down there in the description below. And your wallet will greatly thank you if you check the description, because there are exclusive discounts on a ton of products, including controllers, KontrolFreeks, keyboards, mouse pads, clothes, and energy drinks. And keep in mind that you, the viewer, keep this channel running. The more stallions and stallionettes trotting around the stable, the better, so mollywop that subscribe button like it owes you money, and we'll have the same amount of fun tomorrow.